In the desolate, unforgiving landscape of Colorado, a fortress of concrete and steel lies concealed in Fremont County, just south of Florence. This fortress is no ordinary prison. It is the infamous ADX Florence, known as the Florence Supermax, the most secure prison in the United States. But this facility isn't just about maximum security. It was purpose-built to house the most dangerous, violent, and notorious criminals under the most extreme measures of control. What does life look like behind these impenetrable walls? Who are the infamous inmates trapped within this inescapable labyrinth? Join us for an eye-opening journey into the heart of America's toughest prison, where isolation is a weapon and escape is not an option. Step inside the world's most fearsome penitentiary, where the harsh reality is more terrifying than any story. In the rugged, isolated terrain of Colorado, a fortress looms, hidden away in Fremont County, south of Florence. This is no ordinary prison. ADX Florence, known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, is the most secure prison in the United States, a place where the nation's most dangerous and violent criminals are held under the strictest control. As part of the Florence Federal Correctional Complex, which spans 49 acres, ADX Florence stands apart, feared even among other high-security facilities. Inmates here live in near-total isolation, confined to their cells for 23 hours a day. These cells, constructed from reinforced concrete, are not only escape-proof but also designed to prevent self-harm, ensuring that prisoners are monitored and controlled at all times. Every detail is engineered for containment, from the cold concrete desks and hard stools to the shower timers and motion detectors. ADX Florence wasn't just built, it was born out of necessity. The brutal murders of 2 correctional officers in 1983 by Aryan Brotherhood members Thomas Silverstein and Clayton Fountain exposed fatal flaws in prison security. It became clear that a facility was needed to isolate the most violent inmates, those who had no regard for human life. Under the leadership of Norman Carlson, then director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, ADX Florence was conceived to lock away individuals who posed a constant threat to prison staff and fellow inmates. The construction of ADX Florence was a massive undertaking. The local community, despite already housing 9 other prisons, eagerly supported the project, raising $160,000 and providing 600 acres of land for the new facility, which promised nearly 900 permanent jobs. On January 10, 1995, ADX Florence opened its doors, instantly becoming one of the most infamous prisons in the world. Inside this fortress, life for inmates is a far cry from anything resembling freedom. Cells are outfitted with small, 4-inch-wide windows that only offer a glimpse of the sky, disorienting prisoners and leaving them unaware of their location within the complex. Inmates exercise alone in concrete pits, resembling empty swimming pools, where they can only take a few steps before hitting a wall. Meals are delivered directly to cells, and even the smallest details, like faucets and toilets, are designed to prevent misuse. The prison is a technological fortress, packed with cameras, motion detectors, and 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors. The entire facility can be locked down in seconds at the press of a panic button. Surrounding the perimeter are pressure-sensitive pads and razor-wire fences, constantly patrolled by heavily armed officers. Security at ADX Florence is so tight that even the thought of escape is inconceivable. This prison is divided into 6 security levels, from the general population units to the Special Housing Unit, SHU, and the Special Security Unit, also known as H Unit, which houses high-profile inmates involved in terrorist activities. For those requiring the most extreme control, there is Range 13, a section of the prison reserved for the most dangerous and unmanageable individuals, offering nothing but a life of complete isolation. Despite its notorious reputation, ADX Florence has remained remarkably free of the overcrowding and security issues that plague many other U.S. prisons. When reporters toured the facility in 2007, they were struck by the eerie silence, a stark reminder of the extreme isolation that defines life at ADX. Even seasoned journalists found the experience unsettling, realizing how quickly the walls close in. This is ADX Florence, where time moves slowly, isolation is absolute, and escape is a distant, impossible dream. For the most dangerous criminals in America, this is where their stories end. In 2012, the extreme conditions at ADX Florence became the center of a federal class action lawsuit, Cunningham vs. Federal Bureau of Prisons. 11 inmates accused the prison of cruel mistreatment and failing to properly diagnose and treat inmates suffering from severe mental illness. The stakes of the lawsuit were grim. At least 6 inmates had taken their own lives, and after the lawsuit was filed, a 7th tragically followed suit, their case becoming part of the legal battle. Critics argued that the prolonged solitary confinement endured by prisoners caused severe mental deterioration, with numerous studies supporting these claims. By March 2015, the Bureau of Prisons was forced into settlement talks, acknowledging the need for changes. Even before the lawsuit's resolution, the prison began making adjustments. However, inmates housed in the notorious H Unit remained under Special Administrative Measures, SAMs, which severely restricted their communications. These measures prohibited them from speaking to journalists or communicating privately with lawyers or family members, further isolating an already isolated population. The international community took notice of these conditions. In 2012, a British magistrate refused to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the U.S. on espionage charges, citing concerns that he might be subjected to the harsh conditions of solitary confinement and SAMs at ADX Florence. However, in July 2021, first, Kevin Lee Wilson was a 37-year-old bank robber serving a lengthy sentence for armed robbery and firearm charges. Wilson's death on June 17, 1999, was followed by the suicide of 43-year-old Gregory Britt in December of the same year, a man convicted of fatally assaulting a fellow inmate. Others, like Lawrence Clare, a former enforcer for the Aryan Brotherhood, and Lance Van Daren, a 26-year-old inmate serving a 25-year sentence, also met tragic ends within the prison's walls. Their deaths underscore the grim reality faced by inmates in ADX Florence, a life stripped of human connection, locked away in silence, with few avenues of hope. For some, ADX Florence is a necessary measure to contain the most dangerous individuals in the prison system. But for others, it represents a place where justice becomes cruelty, where extreme isolation pushes people to the brink of mental collapse. Zacharias Muise, born on May 30, 1968, is a French member of Al-Qaeda who forever etched his name in the history of the United States. He stands as the only person ever convicted in a U.S. court for the September 11 attacks, a tragedy that changed the world. Muise is now serving life imprisonment without the possibility of parole at the notorious ADX Florence, the Supermax prison designed for America's most dangerous criminals. His journey to prison began on August 16, 2001, when FBI agents in Minnesota arrested him for an immigration violation. His odd behavior, particularly his flight training in Eagan, Minnesota, raised suspicions. By December 11, 2001, Muise had been indicted by a federal grand jury on 6 devastating charges, including conspiring to commit terrorism, hijacking aircraft, using weapons of mass destruction, and plotting to take the lives of U.S. employees. Federal prosecutors claimed Muise was intended to be the elusive 20th hijacker in the 9/11 attacks, possibly filling the spot of 2 Al-Qaeda members whose visas were denied. Despite their arguments, prosecutors struggled to link Muise directly to the 19 attackers. During his trial, which was intensely followed as a barometer of how the U.S. would handle terrorism suspects, Muise initially denied involvement in 9/11, claiming instead that he was planning a separate attack. Some Al-Qaeda members supported this claim, but prosecutors dismissed it as highly improbable. On April 3, 2006, Muise was deemed eligible for the death penalty. As he left the courtroom, he defiantly shouted, "You will never get my blood. God curse you all." However, on May 3, 2006, the jury opted against the death penalty, and the following day, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. As he was escorted out, Muise clapped his hands and declared, "America, you lost. I won." Judge Brinkema responded harshly, telling him he would die with a whimper and never have the chance to speak again. Jaret Sarv, born July 22, 1993, is an American terrorist of Chechen descent, best known for his involvement in the Boston Marathon bombing. On April 15, 2013, Sarv and his older brother Tamerlan, unleashed terror on the marathon finish line with 2 deadly pressure cooker bombs. The explosions claimed the lives of 3 innocent people and left 264 others gravely injured. Just days later, on April 18, 2013, the Zarnav brothers struck again, ambushing and killing MIT police officer Sean Collier. A fierce shootout with police ensued, resulting in Tamerlan's death. However, Dzhokhar managed to escape. The subsequent manhunt was one of the largest in recent history, involving thousands of officers. On the night of April 19th, Dzhokhar was found hiding in a boat in a Watertown, Massachusetts backyard. Under interrogation, he admitted that he and his brother had plans to attack Times Square in New York City, revealing that they were inspired in part by the radical tique of Anwar al-Awlaki. Zarnav was charged with 30 serious offenses and in 2015 was sentenced to death. He currently resides. Noshir Gawadia is a name synonymous with betrayal. In October 2005, the U.S. government questioned and arrested him for leaking top-secret defense information to foreign nations. As an engineer deeply involved in the B-2 stealth bomber project, Gawadia's actions were nothing short of treasonous. He passed sensitive information, not to safeguard his country, but to bolster his reputation and attract future clients. Gawadia's arrest marked the beginning of a monumental case. He was charged with willfully communicating national defense secrets to unauthorized individuals, endangering the U.S. and potentially benefiting foreign nations. His indictment was a shocking revelation. Gawadia had secretly designed stealth technology for Chinese missiles. Between 1999 and 2003, he made at least 6 covert trips to China, all while evading U.S. authorities and exchanging classified information via secretive emails. His goal, to assist China in developing stealth nozzles, making their cruise missiles harder to detect. On November 8, 2006, a federal grand jury in Honolulu indicted Gawadia on 18 counts, charging him with conspiracy, willfully passing classified information to China, and violating the Arms Export Control Act. The details of his betrayal were astounding, outlining how he had sold his country's secrets for personal gain and put American lives at risk. J Marcelo, a notorious mobster, made headlines in December 1992 when federal authorities charged him and mob boss Sam Wings Carlisi with racketeering. As Carlisi's underboss, Marcelo was the right hand to a criminal empire that ran rampant in Chicago's western suburbs. In 1993, Marcelo, Carlisi, and 5 of their crew members were convicted on charges of racketeering, bookmaking, loan sharking, and even murder. Marcelo's reign of terror included ordering a firebombing of the Lake Theater in Oak Park during a labor dispute and orchestrating the murder of potential informant Anthony Didino. His criminal career was extensive, with ties to numerous illegal enterprises, including funding mobster Lenny Patrick's loan sharking business. On April 5, 1995, Marcelo was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison. In a defiant statement, he told Judge Paul Plunkett, "If my name wasn't James Marcelo, I wouldn't be standing in front of you." Released from prison in November 2003, Marcelo soon found himself back in court. This time, during the infamous Family Secrets trial, Marcelo and his younger half-brother, Michael Mickey Marcelo, faced new charges of racketeering and multiple murders, including the infamous Spilotro brothers, cementing his place as one of the most ruthless figures in Chicago's mob history. Ramzi Yousef arrived in the U.S. on September 1, 1992, under a shroud of deception and danger. Carrying an Iraqi passport of dubious authenticity, Yousef was part of a far more sinister mission. His companion, Ahmed Ajaj, was quickly arrested after U.S. immigration officials discovered bomb-making manuals and extremist videos in his possession. Ajaj's arrest, however, was merely the beginning of a plot that would soon shake the core of American security. Despite raising red flags, Yousef was detained for only 72 hours and released pending a hearing, blending back into the urban jungle of New York and New Jersey. While on the move, Yousef remained in constant contact with militant preacher Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman, a key figure in the radical extremist network. Through a series of cryptic phone calls and meetings, Yousef laid the groundwork for his deadly plan. By December 1992, Yousef had fully assumed the identity of Abdul Basit Mahmoud Abdul Karim, obtaining a temporary Pakistani passport and preparing for the next stage of his mission. Along with his associates Mohammed A. Salame and Mahmoud Abu Halima, Yousef began assembling a massive 1,500-pound bomb at his Jersey City apartment. With lethal precision, he ordered chemicals and materials, all while recovering from a car accident that further complicated the already dangerous operation. Yousef, a mastermind trained in bomb-making in a camp in Peshawar, Pakistan, unleashed his terror on February 26, 1993. He rented a Ryder van and packed it with a lethal concoction of explosives, 4 cardboard boxes filled with urea nitrate and nitric acid, along with compressed hydrogen, nitroglycerin, and blasting caps. He drove this weapon of mass destruction into the garage of the World Trade Center, where it exploded, killing 6 and injuring over 1,000. In the chaos that ensued, Yousef fled the U.S. within hours, slipping away to Iraq and then Pakistan. The FBI added him to its 10 most wanted fugitives list on April 21, 1993, but Yousef was already in hiding, orchestrating further attacks. That same summer, Yousef made an attempt on the life of Pakistani Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, a plot that failed only due to police intervention. His luck ran out momentarily when the bomb he was handling exploded prematurely, but Yousef continued his deadly mission. By December 1994, Yousef embarked on a trial run by planting a bomb on Philippine Airlines Flight 434. Using a forged Italian passport, he assembled the bomb in the airplane's lavatory, setting it to explode mid-flight. While the bomb did detonate, killing 1 passenger and injuring 10 others, the plane managed to land safely. Investigators traced the clues back to Yousef, but he was already preparing for his next move. Returning to Manila, Yousef planned a massive terrorist attack known as the Bojinka Plot. This insidious plan involved a coordinated effort to assassinate Pope John Paul II, bomb several flights, and crash planes into the CIA headquarters, a horrifying precursor to the 9/11 attacks. A fire in his apartment led to a police raid, exposing his plans and triggering a global manhunt. Yet, Yousef evaded capture and fled back to Pakistan. On January 31, 1995, Yousef flew to Thailand, meeting with his associate Istaikik Parker, to initiate another plot to bomb Delta Airlines and United Airlines flights to the U.S. Parker, too terrified to follow through, informed Yousef that the plan was too risky. Frustrated but undeterred, Yousef reached out to a friend with diplomatic immunity in Qatar, intending to smuggle bombs onto planes bound for the U.S. Though the plan fell through, Yousef remained a step ahead of authorities. However, on February 7, 1995, following a tip-off from Parker, Pakistani and U.S. agents finally caught up with Yousef. In a dramatic raid at the Sukasa guest house in Islamabad, Yousef was captured before he could escape to Peshawar. Agents found bomb parts hidden in children's toys and airline flight schedules, evidence of Yousef's relentless ambition to bring devastation to